Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Robot Attack. My name is zacfierceguy, and today we have two special guests. Normally we have Smokinace, who's a general person here, and we have a very special guest, Zach Fierce, maker of BOMBFEST, developer from BOMBFEST. So he was on a podcast before with us about 2 years ago, so for some reason, he said yes to being on it again for some reason. I don't get what the whole point is of you guys saying yes to this podcast all the time, but there you have it. So, this for the people who are new, this podcast, we talk about games and stuff. And so, real quick, in like 3 words or less, all right, what games did you play last month? Smoking Ace, go.
Persona 5, a little more Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and I'm panicking now. Wow, I'm completely... Animal Crossing, there we go.
Alright. And Zach, what games did you play last month?
Animal Crossing New Horizons, Slime Rancher, and the new Terraria update.
Nice. I played Dark Souls 3 for 8 hours, so...
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, all for charity. So we'll get started real quick, jump into these questions. Appreciate your time again. So it's been a while, like I said. So give us an update since last... I know there's a lot to go through. I think last time we talked about, BOMBFEST and how you wanted to do update skins and bombs and stuff. Any updates since that, or you kind of,
Well, let's see. Since the launch of BOMBFEST, we've had 2 post-launch updates, adding skins, bombs, and stages. Had a little trailer to go with our last one. We added a turntable stage. So we're able to add some new stuff and incorporate the community more the months after release. So pretty excited about that.
Awesome. Yeah, and then you have a new game, Earth Knight. Can you talk about that? I guess I missed the memo on that one.
So, Earth Knight is a project by Cleaversoft, an indie group looking to promote their 2D Infinite Runner style puzzle combat game. Not so much puzzle, but definitely a survival aspect there. And I was brought on through a studio called... it's a little tricky. Cleaversoft hired a group called Plastic Fern, hired a group called Polychandra, who brought me on to help with porting the game to consoles and PC. So through all of that, I was on the team near the end of development to help port it, prepare for different consoles, do some general gameplay fixes and optimizations. So I was not on the creative design team there or did any of the core programming, but worked closely with the team to bring that game to launch.
Awesome. And then obviously I've been seeing you making the once a week games and indie Dev Trainwreck stuff. Was that just for fun and just to clog your website, I guess, or I don't know.
Definitely a bit of a portfolio filler there. The 1 week games was a challenge I did on stream. Was that last year or the year before? But it was a portfolio piece and just an entertaining show to do for viewers. I'd make a whole game over 3 hours, split in half, so an hour and a half per stream once a week, and eventually it'd end up as something. And they're mostly toys, more so than games. They're not all fun either, but they're something.
Yeah.
Completely from scratch. I definitely am a lot more excited about Game Dev Trainwreck. It's an educational show that I do for Game U Live, which is a games kind of after-school program here on the East Coast. I can't say that anymore because now I'm kind of the Southwest. And I do a show where I make a game from scratch in 2 hours, and I show the process of making and ruining one, which is why it's called Game Dev Trainwreck. In fact, the episode I did on Sunday, the concept didn't even come together. I'm not even sure if I'm going to upload it to itch, just because it was a wreck. But that's part of the show, is what happens when things go wrong, and what does a professional developer do to approach these problems. So I'm totally happy with those games. A lot of those are fun.
Yeah.
Most of them are fun, and it's one, it's for work, so I get paid to do it, and two, it's fun. It's nice to stretch my design muscles in different directions. Stealth games, racing games, underwater shark frisbee eating games, all sorts of things.
Yeah. I think when I showed Smokinace007, he's like, "Well, this is definitely like a what was it, miniature
AddictingGames.com
addicting games."
world.
Right.
Yeah.
Working those memories so quickly.
Oh yeah. I feel that.
Yeah, or was it mini clips or something? I forgot. Man,
I remember Miniclip. Yeah, all those classics.
I like the pirate battle one. I played that a little bit. It's like it's like it's like a free Seas of Thieves, you know.
Yeah, big Black Flag Assassin's Creed vibes there.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised how fast that one got done, because that's 2 hours, and yet it feels like good.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, seeing you watching your live streams, I was like, I don't know how you do this in a short period of time, you know. So that's impressive. It's awesome to see those. So,
Thank you.
So you know, Whitethorn Games. You know, are you when you do something like with a game developer company? Do you know, are you on contract, or like, you know, do you kind of move around with that? You know, how does something like that work?
I can talk about that. So, typically in the AAA industry, you will be part of a big company. So, say you're part of EA. You're working on EA projects. Once your next title is done, you probably get shuffled to either the sequel or to another project that EA is working on. And you kind of work through them. You're a full-time employee. With BOMBFEST, I have a contract with Whitethorn Digital. So, we drafted up a contract, we talked about how much who would get paid and for how long, and that lasted for BOMBFEST. As an individual or as a company, I'm not tied to Whitethorn, but I do think very highly of them, and I always check in every once in a while. Yeah. So they still manage the parts of BOMBFEST. I'm incredibly thankful for that. And but beyond that, I'm free to move around. They are definitely on my short list of publishers to look into first if another game comes down the pipeline. But I'm almost a free agent in broader respect.
Nice. So sign them up. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you worked the same, like with the team, like a team, I believe Ashley was the name, and other people around BOMBFEST. You know, do you still continue working with those teams, or, you know, like, or do you move on and try to find different designers, or for like the next coming game and stuff, or?
So BOMBFEST was heavily influenced by our art director, Marissa Hike, who I haven't worked with since, but keep a good relationship with. The other team members, we kind of just went off to do other work, Marissa included. So it's almost like a parting of ways, like a graduation where everybody heads off to do their other jobs. But our industry's a small one. I'm sure that I'll bump into people again, and who knows, could be another project.
Okay, interesting. And then, you know, what? I guess I don't understand the whole concept behind, you know, like developers keeping secrets for like future games. Like, I know I kind of hinted at, oh, what's your upcoming game? And you're like, I can't talk about this. And like unannounced horror game. So like, why is that? Like, why is it just because you don't want to? I guess what's the reason behind that?
Yeah. So some reasons. For unannounced horror game, I'm working with a designer, and it's under NDA, so I just can't talk about it. But I should have it on my portfolio, so it looks like I'm doing something.
Right.
Because I'm working on it. So big thing there is just the designer's choice, the producer's choice, I should say, to not talk about it at this point. Isle of Disaster is another game that I can't talk much about, but I can show pictures and point you to the website to try and get a hint of what it's about. And they do post a lot of stuff on their Facebook showing gameplay and some really cool liquid physics. You can see a volcano there with like realistic moving and looking lava. It's nuts. And I can confirm it's nuts to play with too.
Awesome.
But I would say something that to put out there is a lot of indie developers are scared to talk about their work on. Like I'm working on one project right now. I'm working on a project right now that I think might have commercial viability. It's called Peasant. I've been streaming it when I can, and I hope to stream a little bit more when I've got more time. And I stream development. I've got my Visual Studio open. I'm showing you all my code. I'm showing the whole thing off. Some indies are scared that if they share their development, that their idea is going to get stolen, and their brainchild, their baby, is lost, and they become this artist whose work was copied and ripped off. But there's almost a paradox there. Really, the people who can rip off an idea are either huge companies, which aren't going to waste their time on an idea that hasn't had years of market research, or a competent indie developer who either they're going to steal it, and the community is so small, people are going to know as soon as you speak up, and especially if you leave a trail like on Twitter or Itch or something that shows the development progress, they'll know. Or, I mean, these indie developers, they've got their own brainchilds. They don't have time to make yours.
Yeah.
They're going to be focusing on theirs. So really, I encourage all developers, indie developers, who aren't under NDA, share it all. One, you're leaving a trail of your progress, which gives you, that is how copyright works. If you've posted it publicly and hosted it somewhere, that's copyright. You can claim copyright on that. And two, you encourage other developers. So that's one of the big reasons I do Peasant publicly, is because I want people to see it and ask questions and be inspired. So NDA, don't share it. But if you're an indie, share that sucker. It only helps. And it's marketing. Cred.
Awesome. That's good to know. That's interesting. I was like thinking wouldn't you want people to know about a game, pretty quickly and get people to hype up about it and get, people to know about it, I feel like now that you have a backing from, BOMBFEST and these other games, how easier or harder it is to get your new games out there. Like, do you see still a bit of challenge, or still because you're not well known, or do you feel like it's easier now that you got your first well-developed game out there?
That's a good question. I kind of see it in two ways. When it comes to developing games, it's going to be easier to get new projects out there. I think I started developing BOMBFEST with less than 100 followers on Twitter, and now, by some grace of God, I've got over 1,000, which is just nuts to me that people care about my tweet once every 2 months. Which is silly. It really doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Like, what really matters is people that are invested in what you're doing, not just someone who hit follow and forgot because they've got 1,000 people they follow. Mm-hmm. But when I boot up a stream, even after not streaming for like a month and a half, people still jump in, and that just amazes me. Like, what impression have I left on people that they see my stream pop up with no stream schedule, no consistency, and they say, I'm going to watch it, I'm going to say something in chat? It blows my mind. So there's something to that. And when I work on future projects, the more followers you have, the more momentum you have to gain more. So it only helps. As far as work, since I've released BOMBFEST, as a freelance developer, it's only increased my ability to get jobs. Like, they've just come out of nowhere sometimes. It's nuts. Yeah. So when it comes to, like, finding work, having something published is almost the ultimate portfolio piece. Because you can come up with somebody with a degree in computer science or degree in computer game development, but when you show somebody who's released a game, it's as someone who hires people, I see that as far more valuable. Because you've done it. You don't have a theoretical degree, you have a degree. So you can do it. And that means so much more than having the potential to do it.
Yeah. I think that's right. I mean, like, if it wasn't for, like, obviously this podcast. No, I'm joking. Having that team behind you, since the start of like following you, and then now they're like, okay, what's next? And since I think BOMBFEST was so well done, and now that you have a fan base to go on that, you could expand your horizon based on that fan group, and then so yeah, Smokinace's turn now.
All right, kind of going along with a little bit more on the marketing side and whatnot. I had a professor who he always would say that marketing is not rocket science, because rocket science, you know that if you look in a book, you do this, this is going to happen. You input X and Y, you're going to get Z every single time without everything going around. So when you decide to start marketing a project, how do you decide what to put in that marketing? How do you decide whether I'm going to go gameplay, I'm going to go story, I'm going to go, this or that? How, in kind of a nutshell, how does that process work for you?
I would say, I can talk about BOMBFEST first and foremost. BOMBFEST, we had some pillars that we wanted to push that we thought people would find attractive. So the first one was, it was chaotic. Second, it was family friendly. Third, easy to use controls. And fourth, customization. So our trailer starts off with explosions. It goes into, here's how easy it is to play BOMBFEST. Here's a bunch of people having fun, and then here's all the stuff you can unlock. So from a single trailer point of view, I wanted to focus on the pillars of what I thought made the game great and the people would find attractive. As far as marketing in general, oh man, that's tricky. Like, when do you start? What do you market? I would say you've got to figure out what is your experience and then push that. That's got to be it. I mean, if you're making a sequel to a Trackmania game, for example, it's all about racing tons of cars on a track and them crashing and falling off, and you've got to show hundreds of cars doing that. If you're thinking about something like the new Half-Life Alyx, for example, the whole thing is that tactile feeling of being in a room with a head crab and being able to pick up anything, and so they sold that. They kind of found their best experience and played to their strengths. As far as timing, yikes, timing is terrifying. I would say with indies, you should market as early as possible. I mean, you have the worst time getting publicity, especially free publicity, so just market, especially to other indies who I've seen the successes I've seen in the indie world have been from games that little developers have worked on, shared GIFs every day, and have been retweeted at me. Like, I remember Owlboy picking up and all the tweets it was getting, and like, I saw this develop. I remember the first few GIFs of A Hat in Time when the lead developer was working on just the 3D platforming mechanics and the first 3D model of the main character. And I was like, this seems pretty cool. And here we go. It's like the best-selling collectathon game from the indie market, which is just nuts, seeing it grow from nothing into something incredible. So indies, just market. Do it immediately. Do it fast. Don't hide your idea. For AAA, they can do what they want. Look at Smash Bros. They had a whole Smash Bros. Dojo website to market it for months and months before release. They got their Nintendo Directs. They do what they want. Yeah. And then look at Apex Legends. It marketed itself the day it came out. No one knew of it. And yet it is a highly, like, in the battle royale market, it is still one of the top contenders there. Like, that's incredible. But you can see the opposite too. I mean, Amazon just released their own little battle royale team-based shooter, and they did the same thing. No marketing, it just came out. And it's not performing as well. To what extent, I don't know. It's still getting press coverage, but nowhere near press coverage of the others in the industry. So something was different. What was it? I don't know. If only marketing were rocket science, could we tell?
I like the tie-in there. I like that. But yeah, he always said you can't predict people. You can't tell, like you mentioned about Apex. If you bring something out at just the right time, you'll get those people in there. Are there any game developers that are like your I want to put it in like college terms, maybe your stretch goal? There's that one developer, that core group of developers that you would love to have your work alongside with theirs.
Oh man, Matt makes games, developers at Towerfall, definitely. What was? Let me look this up here real quick. Bone Loaf. Bone Loaf. Actually, when these guys were putting Gang Beasts together, I somehow got connected with them, and we follow each other on Twitter. But the Bone Loaf team behind Gang Beasts, just goofy, simple multiplayer stuff. I look up to a personal role model of mine. His name is Evan Todd. He released a game called Lemma on Steam. It's a first-person parkour game, but just a guy that's really upstanding and somebody that I really look up to. So getting to work with any of these groups or getting put on the same pedestal as them would just be incredible. It'd be unbelievable.
Nice.
Awesome. And sort of along with that, a lot of, we've seen a big trend of a lot of games are bringing big celebrities in them. Their motion capture and all that. Are you at all interested in that kind of thing? And if so, who are your, the celebrities you would love to be the main character in your game?
Keanu Reeves.
Oh.
if so, and that may not be something that you're interested in, but I'm just curious if you could get that one celebrity call.
Shoot, like I think of, what was it? Years ago, Old Spice did this end of the Mayan calendar online video game experience. It's the best way to describe it. It was games that were released for a very short period of time, these retro kind of games, and then I assume they were just removed, never to be found again. I wish I remember the name, but any of the guys over with Old Spice, like I think of Isaiah Mustafa and Terry Crews, like just funny, don't take themselves seriously, and that kind of energy in a game would be phenomenal. Just pure goofiness. I like that kind of humor. It's clean, it's out of the blue, it's accessible to anybody, and wow, can't ask for a better market than that. So, one of those guys.
Please, I beg you, get Terry Crews in on a game, because he just seems like the most down-to-earth guy, and I would love to play a game that has him in it. So, your task.
I just want to bring up, too, that you brought up Old Spice in this podcast twice now. Or, not, you brought it up the first time we were doing this, and then now you brought it up again.
No way.
You love Old Spice.
Hey, consistency. You have your goals and you have
you wear your influences on your sleeve and sometimes
or under your sleeves. Unless they are a secret or something, is there a game that you dreamt of as a child, one that you just had in your head that you went, one day I want to make this into a game, or I would love for somebody to make this into a game? And do you already have something like that, or is there something that you're working on? Like I said, if it's nothing that will get you in trouble or that you want to put out there yet.
I've always wanted a first-person FTL. So basically a Starship kind of game where you play multiplayer with your friends. You got to run around and control the shields or control the guns or steer the ship. There's been similar stuff out there, but nothing's really scratched the itch for me. But my real dream is I want to make a community management game. As silly as that sounds, but a game where you've got like a small village, and there's people in there, and each one is unique, and they've got their own personality. So kind of Animal Crossing in that sense, but these are real people who aren't, Animal Crossing, they're a little three-dimensional, but they're just adorable to make you smile. I want a game where you manage relationships, and you're managing, like, how much time people spend with each other doing certain jobs, and are they introverts, extroverts? Like, how do you resolve conflict between individuals to keep your little village alive? That sort of thing. Where it's just, how do you be a good, not only strategic leader, but like an emotional and sympathetic leader? To come up beside somebody and be like, I see what you're going through. I notice you're mad at this person. Can I offer some advice? And then see that flourish and like come together. So Just I don't know if part of that's just my time like helping with young adults groups at my local church, but something where it's like I want to enrich people and like see them come together, be greater than the sum of their parts. So nothing like that out there. I guarantee you, it would take so much writing, so much programming. It'd be hard to do with 3 characters, let alone 20. So we'll see. Maybe that'll happen someday.
You got a week to do it.
2 hours.
2 hours.
There we go. Game Dev Trainwreck. 2 hours.
You might get that seed that leads you into the better things.
That's true.
That sounds.
That's
like a lot of
awesome.
fun. Yeah, like you said,
I'll buy it.
It's something completely unique. It's you mentioned there are games that have little aspects like that, but nothing to that depth for sure. Yeah, can I pre-order that now?
Yeah, can we? Are you getting on that?
All right. I think my last question is, a lot of people I've always heard about. If you do something you love, you feel like you never work a day in your life, versus if you make a passion your job, you hate it and you never want to do it again. Has being a game developer changed your view on gaming, good or bad? Do you still like to just sit down on the couch and just play a game, or do you go, that's too much like work, I want to read a book, I want to watch TV? Kind of how has that changed? If it has, it may not have. Has it changed your view on the gaming kind of ecosphere in a way?
That's a good question. Man, I grew up playing games, whether it was Spyro the Dragon or StarCraft or the original Halo on PC. Not the original. I've been playing them ever since and invested hours of my day just playing games. These days, like, I played through Slime Rancher, for example, and I realized at some point it wasn't about playing the game. It was just experiencing it, finding why did they make the decisions they did. It became analyzing. My favorite analogy is I grew up around skateboarders, and they'd call it skate vision. You don't see, like, a sidewalk anymore. You see the potential to do tricks. You don't see, like, a stairway or a railing. You see, what can I do onto that rail, then off of that rail, and what angle would I record it from? Like, I've developed a design vision where it's staring at a game, and it makes games unplayable sometimes. Like, I just got through most of Slime Ranch, and there's still fun things to do, but I'm sitting, I can't bring myself to play anymore. So I sit there and I say, no, I've experienced that already. The joy isn't there as much. I really have to fall into comfort games, and that's what's changed. Games that I don't analyze because I can't. Either they're too simple or they're too exotic. Like Animal Crossing is that. It's become just a creative canvas. Like, I want to run around and make an outdoor cafe or make a garden somewhere or design a waterfall. All of a sudden, I'm not really playing the game. I mean, I'm playing the game, but it's different. I'm not trying to win it. I'm just trying to zone out to it, catch every fish I see, and you got to have that kind of comfort game to fall back on, and that's been key. But at the same time, I was just playing through Control by Remedy, and my gosh, that's my all-time favorite game right now. And it was a game I got into. Like, all of a sudden, I wasn't analyzing it. It was that different and unique from what I've played before that became its own experience. And I couldn't sit there and say, oh, this is a platformer. How do they do jumping differently? What game does that better? Oh, this is a VR title. They teleport differently. Like, why does this feel bad? Why does this feel better? Control is just different enough where I'm just sitting there going, this is nuts and really good. I can't recommend any game more right now than Control. If you've not played it and you like action and you like weird stuff, it's unbeatable. Head of its genre right now.
That is one that I do need to check out. What I gathered from your answer really quick is, and I don't want to give away any secrets or anything, but basically you can see the Matrix now?
It's very similar. Once you stare at the code, it starts staring back at you. It's unblinking.
Understand? Yeah, like I said, that makes perfect sense. you know. And I'm glad to see that you can still sit down and play a game and enjoy that and get that experience out of it while analyzing things here and there.
You forgot one of what's your favorite aspect of game development.
Yeah, true. I know he talked a lot about it, but yeah, if you
I'm on the ball.
So yes, I guess going into that, like you said, analyzing things and picking things apart and all that. What's your favorite thing to tackle in game development, and what are maybe some of your things where you go, you know what, I would love to have another team member work on that instead.
I definitely lean towards user experience with UI. I love how you navigate and how quickly you can make decisions. That's huge for me. So I definitely focus a lot on that. I was just looking at Slime Rancher's inventory UI, thinking, these are just gray gradients on simple shapes, and I feel like they could have done more. But it's a fun game, so I can't really hurt them for that. But definitely UI and polish too. I love UI polish. I love making menus that zoom in, zoom out, stretch and shape, and appear and disappear in unique ways. So just how you interact with information is probably my favorite thing.
Awesome. Cool. That's all we got, and we are 31 minutes. I think all we have to do is to add a third person to make this podcast shorter. Zach, listen, I appreciate your time again. I appreciate you taking the time out and doing this podcast. Last time I promoted your stuff was the Kickstarter of the first BOMBFEST, but this time it's your website, zacfierce.com, to check out pretty much all your content of games, what you're doing next, what games you have, your once-a-week games that you could check out, and stuff like that. And am I missing anything? I think that's pretty much it, right? Twitter.
I'd say Twitter. Hit Twitch if you enjoy watching streams. I need to get a schedule down.
Yeah.
I gotta work that out with my wife to figure out when works best for both of us. And hop in for some chill game dev.
Yeah, Zach Fierce on Twitter. And then, check out BOMBFEST on Twitter and all that stuff. I'll link those in the description of this video. But like I said, appreciate your time, and I hope you didn't suffer too bad. And definitely hope you enjoy the rest of your day and this week. And definitely appreciate your time. And look forward to when you're streaming the more once-a-week games and stuff like that. So, thanks again.
Hey.
And, yeah. All right.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Of course. See you soon.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye.